Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. Today we're going to go over kind of something that's a very broad spectrum and it's going to be kind of a long video. We're going to go over the different methods of making soap. So there's cold process, hot process, melt and pour, and then there's the commercial mass production style. We're going to go over the pros and cons and how each one of them are made. So we're going to start off with cold process. That's actually the most common when it comes to handcrafted soaps. So what it is you make the base. So the base can contain oils and butters and fats, and you melt them all together. And then you measure out your lye and your water, and you mix those together, and then you combine the lye, water, and the base oils, and you blend them all together. And because when those two things meet, it creates a chemical process called saponification, and that's where it starts turning into the base of soap. Now the fun part comes with cold process here. At this point, you can add all your colorants and your fragrances and any botanicals you want, and you can put them in a variety of molds, whether it's the standardized block like loaf mold, where you can just cut it up into simple squares. You can put them into silicone molds, so they can be stars or circles or whatever shape you can imagine. And then you can put them in plastic molds, so it's like you pour it into these tubes, seal it, and then later after it cures, you could stick it into another batch of soap to create these little end beds. So I've seen some where they've got like stars inside their soap, or circles, or half moons, or anything like that to create these really cool sceneries within your soap. The other good part about having making a cold process soap is the soap is customizable. So if you have like a customer that's allergic to coconut oil or shea butter, you can able to change that out and create a custom bar of soap just for them. The downside with cold process is, depending on where you live, depending on the humidity levels, it can take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to cure. So that's after you make the soap and you cut it, you have to let it sit to like dry out and to become safe to use. So it can take up to 4 to 8 weeks to actually be able to be used. So the next process is hot process. So it's similar to cold process. You make the base of oils, butters, and fats. You take your lye water and you mix them together. What you do, though, that changes it is at this point you actually pour it all into a crock pot or another heating element, and you cook it, which speeds up the saponification process. You can put your colorants in and your fragrance in and the botanicals in. The downside with it is it's a little more rigid. So when you have the saponification processed part in the cold process, it's this pudding-like texture, where by the time it's done in hot process, it has this texture of petroleum jelly. So if you're trying to make these like cool little designs and little ridges, it's way more difficult and labor intensive to create this. They are customizable just like cold process. So if you got someone that's allergic to this oil or this fat, or you don't want to use fats because they're animal byproducts and you want to make a vegan soap, you could totally customize this. The good part about hot processes is that curing time only takes somewhere between 10 and 14 days, depending on the humidity levels. The next process is called melt and pour. This one is by far the easiest to make. What it is you buy a pre-made base. So the saponification process has already happened, so you have this like bag usually of base, and you melt it, and you can then put all your colorants and your fragrance and botanicals in, pour that all into your mold, and let it set. The downside is you can't customize the base. So whatever that package is you bought, that's the package you get. You can do the shapes and large quantity, molds and embeds and all that stuff. The other good part about this is there's virtually no curing time. Once it's hardened, it can be used within 4 to 12 hours on average. The last one is the mass production commercial based. I'm not saying that you can't get a mass-produced cold processed soap. Those are actually available out there. What it is I'm talking about the normal, the buy off the shelf, like the name brands that you know growing up. These can be made with natural and organic ingredients. However, labeling is very tricky. So if it doesn't say soap on the bar, it means it's not made with lye, and it's actually not considered a soap. So the FDA would actually consider these bars either cleansing agents or detergents. So when we're talking about this, if it doesn't say, you know, XYZ's soap, then that's a soap bar. If it says like ABC's moisturizing bar, beauty bar, cleansing bar, it's not a soap. And then glycerin soap can be misleading as well. Glycerin naturally occurs in the saponification and the curing process. That's that shiny kind of sticky stuff that you kind of can get with it. And what happens is when it says it's a glycerin bar and there's glycerin in the ingredient, that means they made the soap, whether it was cold process, hot process, melt pour, or even mass produced with chemicals, and then they injected extra glycerin in it. These can be made with oils and fats and butters, but usually they're made with cheap synthetic ingredients. The downside with that is it comes down to risks of allergies, and sometimes looking into chemical stuff, if you're really into health, that stuff can lead into other health risks. Things are made safe and ready for use, but I always look at it this way: if I want to have soap for my body and detergent for my clothes, I'm not really combining the two. I would rather have soap for my shower and detergent for my clothes. The nice part about this is these do come in different shapes and colors and fragrances, and they are way cheaper to make, and they're way less expensive for you guys to buy. So I do have some examples of some of the types of soaps. These are some hot process soaps. So these were actually made in a crock pot. They are kind of pretty, and they got some swirls and stuff, but they're very uniformed in shape. So if I have another bar here, they have the same style shape and the same type of swirls. They do have different colorants, which is really cool, but they don't have the massive layers where you can make these ombre layers with cold process, or like this rainbow pattern. So I don't have any samples of cold process bars. I do have a glycerin melt pour. And so that's what this looks like. It's that clear soap bar that you can get, and it's really sticky because all the glycerin's coming out and sweating. So what we use at Coley's Creations is we do hot process. We like it because we have faster curing time. So once we realize that we're getting low on an inventory, we can quickly have some turnaround on it. Also, I don't have to keep making an inventory. Like if I make a new soap, I don't know if it's going to sell great, if you guys like it or anything like that. So I have a standardized batch I make. And if it flies off the shelf, then I can quickly make some more. If it was a complete dud, I only made, you know, these small amounts of batches. The downside with like cold process is if you got one that flies off the shelf, you have to continually to keep making it. So by the time you run out, or luckily if you don't run out, because that can happen, you don't have that turnaround time. I also like the fact that we can customize. I have 2 customers that love a specific fragrance, and I make a batch for them. So that works out really well. I'm not a huge fan of selling those, but it's something that they love and they can get it. And like I'm working on a couple things because I've heard a couple allergies, so I'm trying to look into how to make this soap really well for people. So I'm like looking into that and figuring out how we can do that. The other part is I can pay extreme attention to health and safety issues, also have more control over the way my ingredients react. So like if you're using an essential oil, they have a flash point. And what that flash point is you can't put the essential oil until that specific temperature or under. So like lavender essential oil is 188 degrees, which is great because at the beginning of when you melt and pour, or not melt pour. Well, melt pour and cold process, the temperature of your lye and base are a specific temperature, and usually because lavender has a high flash point, you could put it in right away. But if you're dealing with like a citrus oil like lemon or orange or lime, that's 110 degrees. So you have to like hopefully that the saponification isn't hardening to get those in time. Where with hot process, it stays in that petroleum jelly state for a long time, and I can wait till it cools to get those citruses in there. So I also can make small batches or large batches within that parameter too. And it gives me the ability to have my own unique designs. So I don't have the traditional peaks and those perfect little swirls. We have these really unique, one-of-a-kind designs that every bar of soap is different. Every batch of soap is different. So we really hope you guys like our products. If you want to check out all of the soaps that we have available, they're at Coley'sCreations.com, and all of our soaps are $6. So I hope you found this video very educational, informative, so when you buy your next soap, you kind of know what you're looking for. So with that, I hope you guys have a great Monday and a great rest of your week, and we hope to see you guys soon. Bye.